Hi everyone, and welcome back to Stories of Israel, where I tell the stories of the victims of Hamas, because the true crime community chooses to ignore them. And yes, what they went through was a gruesome, horrific crime. The victims were innocent, and the perpetrators have not been brought to justice. First of all, I want to say a huge big thank you to everyone who watched my last video about the Bibas family. It now stands on 33,000 views, and it is the second most watched video on my channel. I was absolutely amazed and so grateful for all the many supportive comments from all over the world. Really, thank you all so very much. It means so much to me, and to all Israelis who read your comments and who know that we are not alone. I have passed the video and the comments on to a free Bibas, but I'm not sure if she saw it. I hope she did, and she knows how many people pray for her family. The video has now also been age restricted, which practically kills it, because it won't be shown on YouTube anymore, unless people have a direct link to it, or if they search for it. But it hasn't been taken down, it is still up, and I hope some people will still see it. So, after all that is said, let me take you back again to Kibbutz Nir Oz, the same place where the Bibas family lived. Let me tell you another story of another young family. Nir Oz, the kibbutz that suffered so terribly, that lost more than half of its population, has so many stories to tell, and many of them are untold to the international community. So I am here to tell you. But please, as always, proceed with caution. The information and the images in this video can be difficult to hear and see, so be warned. But this is the truth, this is the reality of what happened in Kibbutz Nir Oz. This is the Siman Tov family, consisting of Yonatan, Johnny, Siman Tov, Tamar, Kedem Siman Tov, 6-year-old twins, Shachar and Arbel, and 4-year-old Omer. A beautiful, happy, laughing family of 5. Johnny and Tamar met in 2011. Johnny was a born and raised Nir Oz kibbutznik, while Tamar was from Jerusalem. They both wanted to see the world, so they spent a year in Australia and New Zealand together, where they traveled around as backpackers. These photos are from Johnny's Facebook page. You can see just how happy they were, trekking in the wild nature, seeing the famous landmarks and seeing all those amazing places. I'm sure they never wanted it to end. They made some good friends in Australia who they stayed in contact with after they went back to Israel. After 7 years together, Johnny and Tamar got married in May of 2018. They settled down in Nir Oz and soon welcomed twin baby girls, Shachar and Arbel. 2 years later, they celebrated the birth of their third child, a little boy they named Omer. For years, the family lived happily in Kibbutz Nir Oz. Johnny's mother, Carol Siman Tov, also lived in Nir Oz, as did Johnny's 4 siblings with their families. Carol is originally from the USA, and the entire family holds US citizenship. Johnny seems to me like a typical, friendly, down-to-earth kibbutznik. He was one of the agricultural managers of the kibbutz and worked on the wheat fields. This is one of his Facebook posts. Those were the days, he writes wistfully. His love for the land, for agriculture, for getting his hands dirty working the tractors, is evident. Tamar Kedem Siman Tov was a very driven person, always wanted to make the world a better place. She fought for women's rights, she was a peace activist and a politician. She was actually running for mayor of the local council and had a very strong online presence to support her campaign. It looked like a lot of people in the council admired her and intended to vote for her. This was Tamar's profile picture in 2021. It says, "Jews and Arabs refuse to be enemies." In the early morning of October 7, 2023, the siren started wailing in Kibbutz Nir Oz. Johnny, Tamar and the children went into their safe room, a room built of solid concrete with a steel door and a steel window shutter, made to withstand missiles and gunfire. Every house in Israel has one. They assumed it was just regular rockets being fired from Gaza, something that occurred almost daily in their area. Tamar sent off a quick text to her friends in Australia. "Hi guys, we got into the shelter in our house. We're all going okay," as they say in Australia. But soon they started to understand that this was not like every other day. Something immeasurably worse was happening. They heard gunfire outside and voices shouting in Arabic. In horror, they realized their kibbutz was being raided by terrorists who were going from house to house, killing people and setting fire to their houses. It was only a matter of time until the voices and the guns would get to their house. They locked and barricaded the door. Johnny kept up a text exchange with his family, who were locked inside their own houses in the kibbutz. When the terrorists broke into the house of the Siman Tov family, they couldn't immediately get to them. So they set the house on fire. Slowly, the room filled with smoke. Johnny texted to his sister, Renee, "They're here. They're burning us. We're suffocating." Choking on the smoke, they were forced to open the reinforced window of their secure room, so they wouldn't all die of smoke inhalation. But behind the window, gunmen were waiting for exactly that. Tamar and Johnny were immediately shot through the window. They managed to close the window again to protect the children from being shot. But they must have known they all faced certain death by fire or smoke. The terror, pain, and grief they must have gone through in that room is unimaginable. Later that day, Johnny, Tamar, Shachar, Arbel, and little Omer were all found dead in the safe room of their burned house. The children had died from smoke inhalation. Hamas also got to Johnny's mother, Carol. She was shot to death together with her dog, Charlie, in her house. So tell me, if this is not a cold-blooded crime, if this is not premeditated mass murder, then what is? If this is not the most horrendous crime imaginable, then what is? Shooting and burning a young family with little children in their house. Gunning down an old lady and her dog. What kind of depraved savages could do this? Hamas is not an army fighting for the rights of its people. They are a terrorist organization dedicated to the systematic destruction of Israel, of the Jewish people, and of all Western civilization. They are also a cruel, totalitarian regime that terrorizes their own people. There is no excuse for what they did, and they cannot be allowed to continue to exist. To all those who are protesting, draping themselves in keffiyehs and Palestinian flags, to all those screaming for decolonization and calling Hamas freedom fighters, calling this kind of mass destruction resistance. Does this seem acceptable to you? Do you have any idea who and what you are aligning yourself with? You are supporting a death cult, a terror movement that wants not only our destruction, but yours as well. Nothing can bring back the Siman Tov family and the other 80 people of Kibbutz Nir Oz who were murdered that day. Nothing can heal the pain of their family, their friends, and everyone who knew them. We will never ever forget them and how they died, at the hands of violent murderers, in full view of the entire world, who then proceeded to deny they existed at all.
What if I told you your family is not real, made up, AI generated? Pretty annoying, right? This is my little brother and his family. His name was Johnny, and he was 36 years old. Johnny and his wife and 3 children were murdered by Hamas terrorists on the October 7th massacre. They were shot dead and their house burned down. They were a beautiful, loving, happy family. But when their photo came out, some people said it wasn't a real photo. Smart, educated people spread fake news and hurtful rumors about my dead family. I can't tell you how much it hurts, but I can tell you their story. Johnny and Tamari were kind, nature-loving, simple people. They raised 3 happy children, real children, who loved their grandma very much. Her name was Carol, and she was my mom. My mom was also killed on the October 7th massacre, and I miss her and my brother's family every second of the day. Now take a good look at them all. Remember their faces, their innocence, their brutal deaths, and pass it on.